Tonight, we unravel the case of the Bakersfield Three. Three friends vanished or murdered within weeks. One dismembered limb found in a river, another gunned down in his car, and one still missing to this day. What dark truth connects them all? Here's your clue-based question. What missing detail ties all three victims together? Let's uncover the truth. In early 2018, three friends, Micah Holsonbake, James Kulstad, and Baylee Despot, were either murdered or went missing within weeks of one another. All were from Bakersfield. All knew each other. Their mothers, refusing to accept silence, united under one banner. They became known as the Bakersfield Three. It began on March 23rd, 2018. 35-year-old Micah Holsonbake was last seen leaving a residence in East Bakersfield and never returned. Days later, his mother grew desperate. Flyers were posted, calls made, but no answers came. Then on April 8th, just over 2 weeks later, another tragedy. 38-year-old James Kulstad was shot multiple times while driving through the southwest side of the city. His body was discovered inside a white sedan, riddled with bullets. The community reeled. A second young man from the same circle, taken far too soon. And before the month ended, a third name emerged. On April 25th, 20-year-old Baylee Despot was reported missing by her family. She had been living with her boyfriend and was allegedly involved in illegal activity. She vanished without a trace. Three people, all friends, tied together by timelines, connections, and a deepening fear. Their mothers began drawing lines between the tragedies. They refused to accept coincidence. And soon, the case that became known as the Bakersfield Three would spark national headlines. Micah Holsonbake was a former bank employee and athlete. He had a strong academic background and a deep bond with his mother, Cheryl. But in the years leading up to his disappearance, Micah's life took a turn. According to reports, he began associating with individuals involved in drugs and firearms. Despite these struggles, his family believed he was on the path to change. They described him as intelligent, thoughtful, and striving to make amends. James Kulstad, at 38, was a beloved son with a bright smile and generous spirit. His mother, Diane, remembered how he helped neighbors, supported friends, and always came home for Sunday dinner. James, too, had been linked to the same circle of friends as Micah and Baylee, a lifestyle that may have placed him at risk. On the night of April 8th, he was reportedly visiting a friend before gunshots rang out. The motive remains unclear, but his death was no random act. Baylee Despot was just 20 years old when she vanished. Her mother, Jane, described her as fiercely independent, with dreams of building a new life. Baylee had struggled with mental health and reportedly became entangled in criminal activity. She was last seen with her boyfriend, Matthew Queen, and after that night, she was never seen again. 3 lives, each with complexities, choices, and connections that would later raise devastating questions. As the connections deepened, one name kept surfacing: Matthew Queen. He was Baylee Despot's boyfriend at the time of her disappearance, described as controlling, armed, and allegedly involved in illegal weapons sales. Queen had a long criminal record and was known to law enforcement. According to investigators, he and Baylee were planning to build a bunker, a hideout of sorts, before she vanished. Reports later claimed that Queen and Baylee had detained Micah Holsonbake at one point, allegedly accusing him of stealing a gun. During this altercation, Micah may have been tortured, and according to court documents, Queen was later charged with Micah's murder. No charges were ever filed in connection with James Kulstad's murder, but law enforcement confirmed Queen knew James. They had reportedly spent time together weeks before the shooting. Another figure emerged in the case, Baylee Despot herself. Investigators believed she may have participated in Micah's detainment. Some reports even alleged she was present during the final moments of his life. But with Baylee missing, her level of involvement remained unproven. Other names surfaced in police reports, but none with evidence strong enough to secure additional charges. The complexity of this case, its interwoven lives and secrets, left law enforcement walking a tightrope, and the mothers of the Bakersfield Three were left demanding answers in a storm of half-truths and silence. The sequence of violence began with subtle dread. Micah Holsonbake's disappearance on March 23, 2018, was met with concern. But it wasn't until months later that the horror fully surfaced. In April of 2018, a partial human arm was discovered in the Kern River. DNA tests confirmed the remains belonged to Micah. It was not a complete body, just one arm, cleanly severed, devoid of tissue that might explain the manner of death. The implications were grim. According to court testimony, Micah had allegedly been lured into a trap, a garage in East Bakersfield. There, he was confronted by Matthew Queen and allegedly by Baylee Despot. The two reportedly accused him of stealing a firearm. It was inside that garage, prosecutors claimed, where Micah was beaten, bound, and eventually killed. There were reports of a pipe being used and of zip ties, though no full autopsy was ever performed due to the absence of a complete body. His final moments remain unclear, but the violence was unmistakable. Then came the shooting of James Kulstad on April 8th. James was found slumped over the wheel of his car, multiple gunshot wounds to the upper body. No sign of struggle, no witnesses. Law enforcement never released a suspect's name for James's murder, but phone records and social circles connected him to Queen and Baylee. The killing occurred just 2 weeks after Micah vanished, and mere days before Baylee's own disappearance. On April 25th, Baylee Despot was officially reported missing. She had been seen leaving her home. Then, nothing. No calls, no text messages. Her phone went dark. Though Matthew Queen claimed Baylee ran off, her mother rejected that narrative. Jane Despot insisted her daughter would never leave without contacting her. To this day, no trace of Baylee's body has been found. In time, Queen's own statements would shift. According to reports, he offered multiple conflicting versions of events, first denying involvement, then claiming Micah died accidentally during a confrontation, finally alleging Baylee may have disposed of the body. Court records showed Queen took steps to conceal Micah's remains, allegedly wrapping body parts in plastic and dumping them near the river. Only one limb was recovered. The rest remains lost to time and water. Despite intensive searches, Baylee's disappearance yielded no answers, and James Kulstad's murder remains officially unsolved. 3 lives, each ending in mystery or bloodshed, all within 33 days. Each bound to the next by fragile threads of loyalty, fear, and violence. The events shook Bakersfield to its core, and as the investigation deepened, the truth became increasingly fragmented. One man stood accused, one woman was gone, and one mother would receive only a piece of her son, a single arm, left behind like a warning or a clue. From the outset, the Bakersfield Police Department and Kern County Sheriff's Office faced a tangled web. No single scene, no single suspect. Instead, overlapping crimes, shared connections, and missing evidence. Detectives relied heavily on interviews. They questioned friends, associates, and known criminals within the victim's shared circle. Surveillance footage was limited. Witnesses were reluctant. Many feared retaliation. Search warrants were issued for properties linked to Matthew Queen. Authorities seized firearms, electronics, and DNA samples. One major break came through Queen's own words. Inconsistencies in his interviews drew suspicion. He allegedly admitted to being present during Micah's death, though he denied causing it. Without a full body, charges were difficult. But Queen was eventually arrested and indicted for second-degree murder. The investigation also explored Baylee Despot's role. Yet without her testimony and without her body, detectives could only speculate. Still, authorities pressed forward, patching together the truth from fragments. One statement, one detail, one piece at a time. Forensic evidence in the Bakersfield 3 case proved both vital and limiting. Only a partial arm was recovered from Micah Holsonbake. Its condition suggested deliberate dismemberment. Yet without the rest of the remains, the cause of death could not be confirmed. In James Kulstad's murder, ballistic evidence was found at the scene. Shell casings, blood spatter, and trajectory analysis, but no fingerprints, no murder weapon, and no witnesses. The trail ran cold. Baylee Despot's disappearance offered almost no physical evidence. Her phone was powered off. Her digital footprint vanished. Searches in surrounding rural areas turned up nothing. Queen's home yielded some forensic hits, zip ties and tape, allegedly matching descriptions from witness testimony. But no DNA linking him to Micah's remains was ever made public. In a case shaped by secrets and silence, forensic science was left chasing shadows, trying to piece together crimes that had already been cleaned up or buried. As the stories of Micah, James, and Baylee unfolded, fear gripped Bakersfield. 3 young people, all connected, all gone within weeks. Community members began locking doors more tightly. Parents kept closer watch, and rumors spread rapidly through neighborhoods and online forums. Some whispered about gang ties, others feared a serial killer, but the most powerful voices were the mothers. Cheryl, Diane, and Jane formed a united front. They called themselves the Bakersfield 3 and demanded justice for their children. Their unwavering advocacy turned quiet sorrow into a movement, one that refused to let these cases fade into silence. Local outlets first covered the stories separately. A missing man, a murdered driver, a vanished young woman. But as connections emerged, the headlines changed. The Bakersfield 3 became a symbol, a mystery the entire city followed. Television crews arrived. Crime shows profiled the case. And the national spotlight turned briefly to Kern County. The media's attention brought pressure and momentum. Police updates were scrutinized, press conferences were packed, and every lead became breaking news. Coverage highlighted not only the crimes, but the mother's pursuit of truth. In a city overwhelmed with questions, their voices refused to be drowned out. As law enforcement gathered evidence, several theories emerged. each more complex than the last. Some believe the killings were part of a larger network, a group allegedly tied to illegal firearms, drugs, and intimidation. Others suggested that Micah's murder stemmed from betrayal within that circle, possibly retribution for a missing weapon. Matthew Queen remained at the center of nearly every theory, not only as Baylee's boyfriend, but as someone with alleged access to weapons and a reputation for violence. Though some speculated that Baylee herself orchestrated parts of Micah's death, her disappearance left only questions. James Kulstad's death, while never officially linked, added to the theory of a cover-up, a silencing, or a warning. But with so many conflicting accounts and missing pieces, the truth became clouded by speculation, and the city was left chasing theories that never quite fit together. In 2022, Matthew Queen stood trial for multiple charges. Among them, kidnapping, torture, and the second-degree murder of Micah Holsonbake. Prosecutors outlined a chilling account that Queen and Baylee had restrained Micah, and that Queen had allegedly killed him in a fit of rage. Witnesses testified, evidence was presented, and Queen's own inconsistent statements played a key role in the courtroom. The defense argued there was no direct proof of murder, only circumstantial evidence and rumors, but the jury saw enough. Queen was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to over 30 years in prison. Still, no one was ever charged in Baylee's disappearance, and James Kulstad's murder remains unsolved. Justice, partial at best. For the mothers, the verdict brought closure for one child and left open wounds for the other two. Years have passed since the spring of 2018, but many questions still echo through Bakersfield. What happened to Baylee Despot? Was she a victim or a participant? Could her body still be recovered? And who killed James Kulstad? And why? No eyewitnesses, no confessions, only silence and grief. Even now, new theories occasionally emerge, but no fresh arrests have been made. The Bakersfield 3 case remains a chilling example of lives entangled in darkness, of justice only partially served, and of a truth that may never fully come to light. The Bakersfield 3 mothers turned their pain into purpose. They launched a nonprofit, offered support to other families of missing persons, and fought to reform how local cases were handled. Their advocacy changed the conversation. Police response times improved, and missing persons investigations were given renewed attention. National outlets cited the case as a modern example of citizen-led justice, proof that perseverance could shift an entire system. In Bakersfield, murals, vigils, and headlines still echo their children's names. And a community once paralyzed by fear now refuses to forget. What are your thoughts on the Bakersfield 3? Was there a moment, a decision that could have changed everything? Share your theories in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we explore more of the world's darkest unsolved mysteries. And as always, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.